here's why America and the world fears Russia's just-launched stealth submarine. When talking about the world's largest and most sophisticated submarine, Russia has shaken the US, NATO, and the world. According to reports from naval experts, the submarine known as the K-329 Belgorod has begun its sea trials. In terms of displacement, the Belgorod is one of the giant subs anywhere on the planet. The submarine also has a larger design than the American Ohio-class subs. This video will focus on why the world fears this Russian submarine. However, before we go into the details, please like this video and subscribe to the Military Technology Updates channel. A Russian stealth submarine to scare the US. Unlike most submarines, the K-329 Belgorod can serve as a mothership for a more miniature nuclear-powered submarine. The tiny submarine is likely capable of intense dives, allowing it to carry out various tasks on the ocean floor. This concerns deep seabed warfare, splicing, or cutting undersea internet and communications cables, and several other clandestine acts are possible tasks for the K-329. Its midget submarine payload allows for this. The Belgorod's other mission, nuclear deterrence, appears almost incompatible with the clandestine missions. The K-329 is armed with 6 Poseidon torpedoes in total. These aren't your standard torpedoes. They're equipped with a nuclear warhead rather than an average high-explosive anti-ship payload. The Poseidon is a family of torpedoes rather than a single type. They have slightly different features to engage various targets, including carrier strike groups and coastal cities. They're unlike any other type of torpedo known to man. These torpedoes are nuclear-powered, as if the Poseidon's nuclear payload wasn't remarkable enough. Therefore, they have an almost infinite range, making them more akin to an undersea drone than a torpedo. The Poseidon torpedo is thought to have an extremely high top speed, probably over 80 miles per hour. This is more than double the rate of most naval surface boats, though this is difficult to determine with 100% accuracy. The apparent discrepancy between the Belgorod's 2 mission profiles adds to the conclusion. Undersea cable manipulation and other clandestine tasks rely on keeping unnoticed. However, launching the world's fastest, largest, and possibly loudest torpedo in its final phase runs counter to remain undiscovered. The threat posed by Russian submarine weapons. There's little information regarding this mysterious new submarine, including its distinctive mission profiles. The location of the K-329's final base could provide insight into the project. If we decide to trust Russian media sources, it could be in the Pacific Ocean rather than the Atlantic. Nevertheless, the new Belgorod is one of the Russian Navy's newest and most advanced submarines. While the conflict in Ukraine rages, attention is naturally drawn to Moscow's land forces. Despite this, Russia has a sizable underwater nuclear arsenal capable of causing much damage. Also, Russia officially began construction on 2 more Bore A-class submarines last year. President Vladimir Putin participated in the keel-laying ceremony online. The event occurred 4 months after Russia's Navy announced that one of its 7 Delta IV-class SSBNs, the Ekaterinburg, would be decommissioned. Russia has operated 5 classes of boomers since the first SSBN was commissioned in 1960. Some of them also had their subclasses. Events suggest that Russia is making rapid progress in modernizing its SSBN fleet, which the country's adversaries have long feared. Putin's Russia is working to strengthen its navy. Another submarine project by Russia is the Hotel class. These classes were the first to enter service with the Soviet Navy. 8 Hotel class submarines were built between 1958 to 1962. They were the Soviet Union's first nuclear-powered attack submarines. The SNBNs of the Hotel class have forward-set sails and blunt bows. 3 missiles were carried in silos right behind the sail, similar to the Soviet Navy's earlier diesel-electric ballistic missile submarines. They were initially equipped with R-13 submarine-launched ballistic missiles. These missiles could only be fired after the submarine had surfaced. Following improvements to the launching systems, Hotel-class submarines were equipped to deploy R-21 SLBMs. SLBMs represent Buvala submarine-launched ballistic missile. R-21s were the first Soviet SLBM capable of firing while submerged. Interestingly, the Hotel-class submarines were rushed to keep up with the U.S. Navy. the American Navy had commissioned the USS Nautilus, the world's first nuclear-powered submarine, in 1954. Russia is making a shift to cutting-edge weaponry. Several policy documents have stated that Russia wants to rebuild its military capabilities and maintain its position as a world leader. Two key enablers for submarine capability upgrading are the 2015 Maritime Doctrine and the 2017 State Naval Strategy. The 2015 Maritime Doctrine focused on two geographic zones, the Arctic and the Atlantic. The 27 National Naval Strategy emphasized maintaining a permanent maritime presence in the Mediterranean and Black Seas. This was a critical priority for the Russian Navy in the future. It marked a shift from the Soviet-era theory of worldwide military supremacy to a military capable of projecting its power around the world. Nonetheless, the documents confirmed ambitious qualitative goals for the Navy's expansion. In it, submarines play a crucial part. There are also plans to develop long-range, high-precision conventional weapons to boost Russian military capabilities. As a result of the New Look Modernization Initiative, which began in 2018, Russian military hardware is now more modern and technologically advanced. This aspiration has resulted in new cutting-edge underwater capabilities on par with those of several Western powers. The Yasin-M SSGN class provides a substantial advancement in weapon integration, acoustic signature, and subsystems. The Severodvinsk, aka Yasin class, is the most capable Russian attack submarine ever built. It uses much of the technology the Soviet Union invested in throughout the 1970s and 1980s. As for the last, Borei-class SSBN, it's feared for its improved underwater maneuverability and stealth capabilities. It's also known for its employment of SLBMs, which is a considerable technological advancement over its predecessor, the Typhoon class. The Borei SSBN is expected to be commissioned in 10 units by 2027. This would give Russia a more contemporary SSBN class than the US Navy's 14 outdated Ohio-class SSBNs. Russia has focused its efforts on new specialty capabilities in addition to creating ultra-modern submarines. Over and over again, the world has seen Russia's desire to keep up with and, in some circumstances, surpass Western technologies. The Russian Navy is slated to deploy the new Khabarovsk-class strategic submarine soon. The Poseidon will be the common denominator for the two new submarines. According to reports, the adoption by submarines of the Caliber long-range strike missiles represents a game-changer for the country, as seen in 2015. That year, the enhanced Kilo-class diesel-electric attack submarines shot 4 Caliber missiles from the eastern Mediterranean Sea toward ground targets in Syria. Soon, the calibrization policy, was named after the event. This policy calls for the cruise missile to be mounted on the Navy's surface combatants and, more crucially, its submarines. This shows Russia's underwater power, but that wasn't all. Russia's offensive capabilities could be strengthened by the Sirkin hypersonic missile, which is now being tested. Before we continue, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, Military Technology Updates. Alright, let's get back to the video. Russia's history with submarines. In the second part of the 20th century, the Soviet Union and Russia constructed the world's greatest nuclear-powered fleet. It produces more nuclear-powered submarines than all other nations combined. Russia had 245 nuclear-powered subs at their peak in the mid-1990s. 180 of those had dual reactors, and 91 of which sailed with a dozen or more long-range ballistic missiles armed with nuclear warheads. The K-3, the first of the NATO code-named November class, the Soviets nicknamed them the Whale class, was the Soviet Union's first nuclear-powered submarine. In 1958, the K-3 prototype sailed for the first time using nuclear power. The final sub, the experimental K-27, was powered by a pair of VT-1 liquid metal-cooled reactors, while all but one of the 14 November-class submarines cruised with dual VMA water-cooled nuclear reactors. The November-class attack submarines were top-of-the-line attack submarines with a strong MG-200 sonar system for locating surface vessels and enemy submarines. Novembers would attack with ship-killing 533mm SET-65 or 53 65K torpedoes. Each of them carried up to 300 kilograms of hull-shattering explosives once they were in range. Between 1959 and 1962, the Soviet fleet received 8 Hotel-class submarines, which were designed to house and launch a complement of ballistic missiles. While the Novembers was the USSR's Hunters, the Hotel-class submarines were designed to remain undetected, cruising within striking distance of possible targets with a pair of pressurized water-cooled reactors. Ever since that time, Russians have always been a strong force when it comes to military underwater superiority. Is Russia interested in submarine warfare? Many reports have revealed that Russia attack submarines are patrolling the coasts of Scotland, Scandinavia, the North Atlantic, and the Mediterranean Sea. The reports claimed it was done in an effort to challenge NATO and US undersea dominance. The patrols are the most apparent proof of President Vladimir Putin's increased interest in submarine warfare. Much had been invested in new diesel and nuclear-powered attack submarines that are better armed, quieter, and managed by more skilled crews. The tensions are a part of growing competition and military buildup between the US and Russia, and it clearly has overtones of the Cold War. Moscow is projecting force, and people are beginning to see it in Ukraine. The country is also beefing up its nuclear weapons and cyber warfare capacity. According to independent American military specialists, increased Russian submarine patrols are a legitimate challenge to the United States and NATO. Even in the absence of stress, accidents and miscalculations are possible. Whatever the threat, the Pentagon cites the increased Russian patrols as another justification for increased submarine and anti-submarine warfare funding. American naval authorities believe that expanding Russian submarines will necessitate more ships, planes, and submarines to monitor them in the future. The Pentagon has proposed spending $8.1 billion over the next 5 years on undersea capabilities in the long run. This would include 9 new Virginia-class submarines capable of carrying up to 40 Tomahawk cruise missiles. If that's done, it would more than double America's current capability. Comparing Russia's submarine weapons to America's. New intercontinental ballistic missiles, air defense systems, aircraft, and tanks are all a part of Mr. Putin's military modernization plans. To be fair, the Russian and American submarine fleets are not comparable. Moscow has 45 attack submarines, 24 of which are nuclear-powered, and 20 of which are diesel-powered. They're designed to sink other submarines or ships, perform patrols, and gather intelligence. However, according to Western naval analysts, only half of those can deploy at any given moment. Most stay closer to home and operate much slower than during the Cold War. On the other hand, America possesses 53 nuclear-powered assault submarines and 4 more nuclear-powered submarines carrying cruise missiles and special operations soldiers. Probably a third of America's attack submarines are at sea at any given time. They're either on patrol or training, with the rest undergoing repair. America attack submarines designed for endurance, speed, and stealth to deploy far from American coasts are still superior to Russia's. However, the US is developing advanced technologies to monitor Russia's submarines, encrypted communications, and new types of remotely piloted or autonomous warships. In reaction to the Kremlin's forced deployment in the Arctic and Baltic, NATO members such as Germany, the UK, and Norway are simultaneously building more subs. They're also considering buying additional submarines. However, Russia's newly revamped national security and maritime strategies underline the necessity for Russian naval forces to project power and access the Atlantic and Arctic Oceans. If you enjoy watching videos like this, then leave a like and ensure to subscribe to the channel Military Technology Updates. That way, you won't miss out on our next videos. Alright, take care.